Yes, everyone, welcome to the very first episode of the new 2019-20 Chris Talks Football podcast, where this weekend, was the opening weekend of the EFL fixtures, the Championship, League One, League Two, and of course, just earlier on today, in the Community Shield between Liverpool and Manchester City. We'll get some reaction to that as well. Also, in this episode, we'll talk about a few of the transfers that are ongoing and completed transfers. I'll give you my opinions on that as well. So hopefully, we're in for a bumper of an episode. So then today was the first real big piece of silverware that the Premier League sides could win. It was the FA Community Shield, and Liverpool and Manchester City both contested it. Of course, City being the title winners, Liverpool being runners-up, of course. And Manchester City came out on top, only just though, by beating their opponents, Liverpool, on penalties by 5-4. And really, it was quite a really good game of football. I actually watched the game, and really, I think Manchester City with their new kit as well. I kind of rated their kit, but really good to see City winning the first piece of silverware that you can win. Obviously, they've still got a few more competitions in the Premier League and the FA Cup and the League Cup. But what happened was Manchester City went 1-0 up when Raheem Sterling scored against his old club. He turned home David Silva's flick on from close range, and really, I don't think he would have missed the form and the confidence he is in, especially after last season, all of the goals and assists that he was scoring. So really, I don't really think he could have missed that. Then, the second half, Liverpool kind of came back into the game, I think. They hit the post a couple of times. I think Sterling struck the post on a one-on-one. To be honest with you, I have no idea how he did that, but still. And Virgil van Dijk had a few shots, and so did Mohamed Salah. In fact, Mohamed Salah had, 10 shots? 10 shots for Mohamed Salah. But arguably, man of the match surely has to be the Manchester City goalkeeper, Claudio Bravo, because, of course, Ederson was injured. So, of course, it had to be. But, Then Liverpool equalised. It was a free kick. It came out to Virgil van Dijk, of all people, who managed to cross in for centre-back partner Joel Matip, and the Cameroonian defender managed to head home. The Cameroonian manager managed to, defend home, head home the equaliser, so that was pretty good. Also, Bravo made a few good saves as well to keep Manchester City in it. Not to mention the penalty kick that he saved during the shootout there from Wijnaldum. So that was quite a good moment for Bravo. And he did need that because he is very much the number 2 goalkeeper. I mean, you cannot oust Ederson. I think Ederson is probably, in my opinion, the number 1 goalkeeper in the Premier League. And I know people have their, support for Alisson and for David De Gea, but if you look at the season that Ederson has had, you can't really look past that. So I think that's why I put him as number 1. But yeah, Liverpool looked likely to win, and then it was really a great moment, really, because what happened was Kyle Walker acrobatically put one off the line, which basically it was Mohamed Salah. He cut inside. The shot was blocked, and then when he looked like he'd scored, Kyle Walker did not give up. He might have had a new haircut, Walker, but still, he was showing the critics, if there were any, that he can still defend. And off the line, that was so close, really. When I watched that, I thought that's going to go in, but Walker did not give up. The debutant, Rodri, the £70 million signing from Atletico Madrid, was pretty decent, I think, in my opinion. But of course, it is his first game, so we can't really judge him on one game. So really, it was pretty much an average performance for Manchester City. But But once again, I think City just deserved it at the end. But, they start the season as they did last year with the Community Shield, with the winning of the Community Shield. But you've got to say Liverpool really had a lot of chances. Look at the shots they had. They had, I think, 17 shots on the Manchester City goal. So, really, it's unbelievable how many chances they had. But, Bravo, of course, saving the penalty. But, I think, what can we draw into conclusions? I think, really, I do expect another title race, definitely between these two. I don't think United or Arsenal will come on to the two clubs. But, definitely, I will expect to see Manchester City winning probably about around the same margin that they won last year, but probably maybe a little bit more. But I think Manchester City did deserve it. Obviously, Rodri, I'm quite looking forward to seeing him play in the Premier League. I think he's going to fit well into Fernandinho's role. They've signed a left back. They've signed Angelino from PSV. So, really, I think it's just a matter of when and not if. Right, that's the Community Shield. Elsewhere in the EFL, today's game saw Leeds United beat Bristol City away from home by 3-1. Leeds were actually one of my teams that I think are going to finish in the playoffs this season. They suffered badly last season, losing to Derby at home, which ended their playoff campaign for last season. But I expect Leeds to finish into the playoffs. I don't think they'll get promoted. Sorry, Leeds fans, if there are any that watch this video. I don't think they'll get promoted, but I think they'll all be right up there. I'm thinking they'll finish around 4th, 5th, around about that position. But also in yesterday, the EFL Championship, well, I certainly got a shock because Cardiff and Fulham, the two teams I thought would get promoted, they actually lost their opening games. Wigan lost 3-2 to Cardiff, and really, it was a bit of a shock because, Cardiff were leading, then Wigan, took the lead 2-1, which was pretty incredible. But Cardiff just couldn't hold on, and really, if Cardiff want to return to the Premier League, they're going to have to beat teams like Wigan, because Wigan, didn't have the greatest season. I mean, they had a good season coming up from League One, but still, I think Cardiff, who I actually tipped would be champions of the Championship, but not the greatest start. But well, it says about me. The last time I tipped a team to go up, that was Newcastle in 2016-17. They lost their opening game to Fulham, and they went on to win the title in 16-17. So that just shows you, what could happen. Barnsley as well. Little old Barnsley. I have not talked about them in a while. They finished second in League One, and they managed to beat Fulham. And, well, to be honest, obviously Fulham do have Scott Parker in charge. I do think, though, they're going to have to bring an experienced Championship manager. I mean, I don't really know what manager they should bring in, because I'm not really that experienced on the Championship. I mean, it's a good league, definitely, probably as competitive as the Premier League, but yeah, I really don't know. But I think Scott Parker, if he stays at the club, will struggle with Fulham. Elsewhere, West Brom, another team I tipped to be promoted via the playoffs, they managed to beat Nottingham Forest through a Matt Phillips goal, second half. Whether it was a cross or whether it was a shot, I will never know, but well, we won't know as well for certain as well. The other results in the Championship, Charlton, newly promoted, of course, they beat Blackburn by 2-1. Brentford, despite having almost 20 shots, managed to lose 1-0 to Birmingham City. So, well, anyone scream bottlers for Brentford, who I actually tipped to be finishing in the playoffs. They didn't have their prolific striker Neil Maupay, who could be heading to the Premier League either with Brighton or Sheffield United, are the two, clubs that I've heard the most, that are most linked with his move. Elsewhere, Sheffield Wednesday, of course, without Steve Bruce because he's gone to Newcastle, they managed to beat Reading by 3-1. QPR enjoyed a winning start as well. And so did Swansea in the Championship. They managed to beat Hull, both scorelines by 2-1. League One, I think the big story from League One is the fact that Bury and their match against MK Dons was postponed. I mean, the situation at Bury is very bleak. I mean, yes, they've got promoted. I think their promotion, despite their financial atrocities last season, was one of the surprises for me. And I thought that Bury, would, get rid of it, pump a bit of money into it because of that promotion. But obviously that's not the case because their first game is called off. I don't even know if their second game will happen. So, who knows? But in League One, Tranmere Rovers, who achieved back-to-back promotions, they lost out to Rochdale, and Lincoln City get off to the perfect start, a win at home and a clean sheet against Accrington and Stanley. And how Danny Cowley is not in a higher league than League One. He is not a League One manager. You know what? What I was saying about Fulham, they could appoint Danny Cowley because he is a very good manager, Danny Cowley. He's got Lincoln promoted from the National League, League Two as well. So he could be a contender for the Fulham job, but what do I know? In League Two, Salford, their very first Football League game, and again, such as Lincoln, 2-0 win over Stevenage. Great result for them, but I think the biggest story in League Two is obviously the tragic passing of Justin Edinburgh, and what better way to celebrate their first game? Well, not celebrate, but I don't exactly know what the right words are, and I'm scared to open all the wounds here, but what way to, pay tribute to him more is an opening day win for Leyton Orient at home to Cheltenham, and they got a clean sheet as well, which is very good. But Leyton Orient, of course, ex-Football League side, spent 2 seasons outside the Football League, but Justin Edinburgh obviously got them promoted, so very sad for the club. But if they continue to win against teams like Cheltenham, then they'll, I think, survive comfortably in League Two. The Scottish Premiership yesterday, Celtic began their title defence with an emphatic 7-0 win against St Johnstone, and really, I think that league, Scottish Premiership, and probably the French First Division, the Ligue 1, probably the two most uncompetitive leagues, because who's going to win the league. PSG are going to win the league in France, and Celtic are going to win the league in Scotland. I just don't see a title race. I know Rangers are trying their absolute best. I know Steven Gerrard, who's the Rangers manager, is going to try his absolute best, but still, I think Celtic have just got too big of an identity. They're just really, really good. Speaking of Rangers, they managed to beat Kilmarnock away from home by 2-1, and Aberdeen managed to beat Hearts by 3-2. So that's a pretty good sign as well. So, transfer talk. I think in the last few hours, we have seen that the Juventus striker Moise Kean has managed to sign for Everton on a 5-year deal. My opinions on this: he's a good striker. I think he's one of the most. I think he can be one of the most underrated strikers. I think he can be a damn good player on his day. Moise Kean, he can be a good player, I think. But good signing for Everton. But the thing is, with Everton, they've got so many options up front. They've got Richarlison, who of course scored quite a few goals for them last season. They've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who's a good player. I'm not sure if Cenk Tosun is been allowed to go out on loan, so I don't know if that's happened. But and just in the last few minutes, that Paulo Dybala and Manchester United have ended talks of signing the Argentine, because the last few days all I've heard is, will there be a swap deal, Lukaku for Dybala? To be honest, my opinions on this, I don't think Dybala should go to Manchester United. I really don't. I think that, you know, Dybala is a great player. How he hasn't got many minutes in the international stage, I don't know, but still, I think Dybala is a good player. He will stay at Juventus for me. And, hopefully he can, score a few goals. What else? Transfer talk. Harry Maguire. It's always going to be Harry Maguire. And Manchester United, have they agreed a fee with him? I don't know. What has happened, though, is that Pep Guardiola has said we couldn't afford Maguire. And I back him. I back what Pep Guardiola has said, because £80 million for Harry Maguire, who, let's not remember, got relegated with Hull City. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's a good defender on his day. But 80 million, I mean, I'm sorry, but it isn't. He's not the next Virgil van Dijk. So I think if he had a lower price tag, then I think more clubs will be able to afford him. But this just shows the ambition of Leicester as well, because if you value one of your best players in Harry Maguire at 80, 90 million, it shows a statement of intent, because you know he's a good player and you know he has performed well for your side. I mean, Harry Maguire, in the 2 seasons he's been at Leicester, has been probably one of their most standout players, apart from Jamie Vardy, James Maddison, Harvey Barnes, Tielemans as well. But really, he has been a standout player, and I know why big clubs would want to buy him, but maybe they should probably look for cheaper alternatives that, can at least match Maguire's figures. So, yeah. Also, in transfer news, Barcelona have managed to sign a fullback from Real Betis. His name is Junior Firpo, and to be honest with you, I have no idea what this guy is capable of, because even though he played for Real Betis last season and helped them to a pretty strong finish, to be honest, it is a good signing for them, I think, because he's a young fullback, and with young fullbacks, they're always out to improve. They're always out to, make their manager trust in them, because really, he can do it. He can make it at the big stage, which is why Barcelona have spent almost 30 million of him. So yeah, I think really the fact that they're spending quite a bit on that fullback from Real Betis is a statement of intent, saying we can improve good players. Arsenal fans, are you set to have Philippe Coutinho on loan at your club? Well, to be honest, I think the way Barcelona have treated Coutinho isn't the best. I think Coutinho is a top player, but really, I think he will thrive at Arsenal if he goes there. I mean, obviously, he plays in the same role as Mesut Ozil, and of course, they've just signed They've signed Dani Ceballos on loan, so they're really signing a bunch of number 10s, which really, if you think about it, isn't very good. I mean, look at what happened to Everton a season or 2 back. They signed a bunch of number 10s. They signed Wayne Rooney, Davy Klaassen, Gylfi Sigurdsson, and they've ended the season with Sam Allardyce in charge, which isn't, is a sign that your season has gone horribly wrong. Crystal Palace are looking to sign Gary Cahill, the former Chelsea defender. Of course, he has left Chelsea now, and Crystal Palace are looking to sign him. And I think that'll be a decent signing for Crystal Palace, because what they need to avoid another relegation battle, if Zaha leaves the club, is experience. Cahill has played at the top, so he knows how to defend. He might not have had a good load of playing time, which might have an effect on him, but still, I think he will be a very, very good signing if he can prize them away. Well, Tottenham as well are set to sign Ryan Sessegnon, who's preparing for life in the Championship, and really Ryan Sessegnon is a very good player. We know how highly rated he is, and I think Tottenham would be a very good destination for him. Local as well, because Fulham and Tottenham are both based in London. But yeah, I think that'd be a good signing for Spurs, Ryan Sessegnon. So yeah, a fullback would be very good. But obviously, speaking of fullbacks, Kieran Tierney, the Celtic fullback, the young, highly rated Celtic fullback, probably might not be going to Arsenal, which has actually, made a few Arsenal fans sad, because really, he is a good fullback, and I think Kieran Tierney will bring something new, a breath of fresh air to Arsenal if he is to stay. But yeah, really, it's a question this season if Arsenal can break into the top four. I think they will. If they can manage to sign Coutinho on loan, I think they can do it. There is no reason why they cannot. And yeah, really, that's all we have. So that is it for the first episode of this season. Next week will be the opening weekend of the Premier League, so I'll probably do a video on that. And yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this, the opening episode of this Chris Talks Football podcast. If you have, drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. So yeah, I will see you guys next time.